Philadelphia's plans in free agency are seemingly changing by the hour, as a brand new report this morning guarantees a big reshuffling at the tight end position. While Howie Roseman's asking price for A.J. Brown, it's leaked, and trust me, you're going to like it. But it's actually the external names being tied to the Eagles this morning that have people completely fired up, because the list, it's long and a little bit dramatic. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. NFL free agency is officially less than 1 week away, which means everything in the news right now for every single NFL team is technically a rumor. That hasn't stopped the latest rumors coming out of Philadelphia to range from 100% accurate to as bizarre as they come. Although it does sound like the pieces are starting to fall into place, with Howie doing what Howie does best, inquiring about potential blockbuster moves while making sure his own players are all taken care of. Or at least according to a new report this morning, shipped away for a king's ransom. First though, how about a second opportunity to win this right here, the Cooper DeJean Pinnacle Jordan Spector art piece, one of my all-time favorites, the Super Bowl Pick 6. If you want to win this bad boy, drop a like down below, be subscribed. I checked some of you guys are not subscribed who are commenting, and also, why don't you go ahead and comment your guaranteed move that Philadelphia is going to make in free agency. One move, you're going to guarantee it. What are they going to do? Let me know down below. Now, speaking of guarantees, and the first one I think we've gotten the past 48 hours is on Dallas Goedert. As NBC's Matthew Berry's super long free agent article, a lot of nuggets here, mentions towards the end that Dallas Goedert will, quote, definitely be on the move from the Eagles, which was backed up by Mike Garofalo yesterday saying Goedert will hit free agency, meaning extension before free agency next Tuesday doesn't appear to be in the works. And while this isn't a massive shock, like Goedert did basically try to move on from the Eagles last season, but then returned on a cheap one-year gamble, which paid off in a big way. The guy had 11 touchdowns in his 2025 campaign. The only problem, though, is the Dallas Goedert dead cap hit, which we've talked about being $20 million if he walks in free agency. So unless Howie Roseman works some magic and reshuffle things around behind the scenes, Philadelphia is going to have to eat $20 million in dead cap, let Dallas Goedert walk, or re-sign him and save that money and rerun back 2025. If the latter does not appear to be true and Goedert does walk, sure sounds like Philadelphia is going to look to free agency before the draft for his replacement. This familiar name has resurfaced once again, with WIP mentioning yesterday the Eagles, quote, have interest in Browns tight end David Njoku. Now, I personally don't doubt this report, but it does come from Elliot Shore-Parks at WIP, not necessarily a guy who breaks a lot of, the Eagles are going to sign this guy, he's a reaction guy, he tries to fire people up on the radio. You guys know ESP, you know what I'm talking about. Doesn't deny the fact that Philadelphia probably is interested in Njoku because he makes a ton of sense if Goedert is gone. And I could go through the list, like obviously big catch radius, he's a physical guy, great blocking skills, all of that is great. But if you look at the detractors, they'll tell you that he's been hurt and unproductive the past 2 seasons, which yes, is technically true. Now that will make him cheaper, that's a big factor, but I also saw a great argument on Twitter yesterday that David Njoku has never had a consistent quarterback throwing him the football. I mean, he's been a Brown this whole entire time. That should obviously explain what I'm saying here, but I certainly see him flourishing in Sean Mannion's scheme if Goedert is gone and his quarterback is Jalen Hurts. I like Njoku. I think it makes sense. Keep an eye on this one if Philadelphia is in desperate need of a tight end. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, Extra. The most of you guys know who watch my channel on a recent basis, I love the Extra wallets. This right here is my Extra Card Holder Pro for MagSafe. You see, it snaps on just like that. I've been loving this thing, had it for the past couple of months. It is the best wallet I've ever used. But Extra doesn't just do wallets, they do a bunch of other stuff, including this, which is brand new release, by the way, the Travel Bag Vacuum Plus. It's a game changer if you travel. Which, if you watched a couple of months ago, I introduced the Travel Vacuum Bag. The OG one, this one right here, used it a ton for all my travels up to and from Philadelphia, but now they have improved on it with the Travel Vacuum Bag Plus, and as you'll see, it takes it to the next level. First off, they moved the zipper to the side, which I didn't think would be a big deal, but it actually makes packing way faster and way easier. And then they centralized the vacuum valve so you get perfectly even compression every single time. It's also built with reinforced stress zones, which is hard to show you on camera, but this thing is extremely durable. But then, of course, there's the efficiency, the best part in my opinion, because it gives you 60% more space, basically tripling your luggage storage capacity. Oh, and they also switched to the frosted transparent finish, so you actually see exactly which jersey or hoodie you've packed, without having to actually open the bag up to look. And right now, Extra is running their spring sale, which normally is 45% off. Great discount. However, because you're a part of my community, I got you guys an additional 20% off. Use promo code ThomasMott at checkout. All linked down below. That gets you 65% off your purchase. So you haven't tried Extra, you want a wallet, you want a bag, try them out. Link down below. Trust me, you're going to love them. Now, moving over to the exact opposite of a cheap Spectrum move, and that would, of course, be the couple of updates on Maxx Crosby to go ahead and jump into. As this morning, according to Albert Breer, we do know the Eagles are one of a few teams, quote, keeping tabs on the Raiders' star defensive end. The only problem, though, is Philadelphia is not the only team interested. As Albert Breer mentioned, Cowboys, Rams, Patriots, Bears, it's a whole list of teams who are going to call and going to make trade offers. And of course, this does make sense. Crosby is going to be a hot commodity, and at least it does sound like he will be traded. As Mike Silver said, Crosby has not publicly stated his wishes, but behind the scenes, he's exhausted all efforts in Las Vegas, and a split is on the way. The problem, though, is that according to Diana Rossini this morning, the Raiders have not moved off their asking price of 2 first-round draft picks and a player, aka a Micah Parsons type move, which makes sense. Problem, though, is that Micah is younger and technically was a lot healthier pre-getting injured with the Packers this past season when he was traded to Green Bay. So for the Raiders wanting to go ahead and get a Micah Parsons type haul, I think they got to come down from that, make it a little more realistic. I love Crosby, but he's a little bit older. My best guess, though, is that Crosby does get traded, but I think the price will be less than expected. I would wager just 1 first-round draft pick. That would probably do it. Will it be to Philadelphia? I don't know. I don't think so. But I do know that Crosby's cap hit next 4 seasons is the best argument I have seen to go ahead and trade for him because compared to other edge rushers, he is definitely a lot cheaper. If Howie wants to move, he certainly can. If I had to put a number on it, though, I would put a 20% chance Crosby ends up in Philadelphia. I think he goes elsewhere. And if that's the case, then what do you know? How about another free agent edge rusher officially on the market Philadelphia could target? And that is now, finally, free agent Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. Hendrickson was not officially franchise tagged earlier this week at the deadline, so it means he will hit the free agent market and he will have plenty of suitors. And right now would be the time that I dive into why Hendrickson makes sense, why he was linked to Philadelphia during the trade deadline, but you guys already know this. Plus, I don't think Philadelphia is going to get Trey Hendrickson. I think if they're going to make an edge rusher move not named Maxx Crosby, it will be re-signing Jaelan Phillips first. If they can't do that or fail to do that, then they would have to go ahead and pivot. And that's exactly how I see it going. They're going to try to re-sign Phillips. If they can't, they could pivot to Hendrickson or another yet-to-be-named cheaper free agent option. Obviously, at the same time, Howie will call the Raiders. He will try and make a swing for Crosby, but can they do it without breaking the bank? I don't think so. And so sit back and get ready for J.X. Hunt, Nolan Smith, Jaelan Phillips, and maybe a young rookie edge rusher in the NFL draft. Now, going from defense to offense, and what do you know, A.J. Brown update, which I know whenever I talk A.J. Brown, you guys freak out, but there is an update this morning. The NFL Network's Mike Garfolo, who mentioned a Quinnen Williams-type return for Brown to even get Howie's attention.
My understanding is teams are making offers to the Eagles for a trade, and to this point, they have not gotten to the point at which the Eagles would make the move. In their mind, it's a Quinnen Williams type deal. We're talking a potential first-round pick with a second-round sweetener on it. Damn. That's kind of where it is for the Eagles to start to consider moving A.J. Brown. If they don't get close to that point or to that point, I don't think Howie Roseman moves him. I think he keeps A.J. Brown in the fold. He's a really good player. He is highly valued inside that building.
The Cowboys traded away a first-round draft pick, a second-round draft pick, and a player. It was Mozzie Smith, not a very good player, but a player nonetheless to go ahead and get the Jets' Quinnen Williams. That is a massive overall bag, and it's Howie Roseman basically saying, hey, league, you want A.J. Brown? You can come get him, but it's going to cost you way more than you want to pay. And I honestly just don't know if there's a team out there willing to give up that much for A.J. Brown. Like, everyone keeps mentioning Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, but does a Super Bowl team who was in the big game a couple of months ago want to give up multiple early draft picks for an aging receiver? Like, if I was New England, I would just draft a rookie receiver and then maybe add a cheap free agent option. Obviously, it goes without saying, I still think A.J. Brown stays. Sure, they could trade him. All of this could be for nothing, but if you had to go ahead and make me bet the house on what happens to A.J. Brown, I think he's going to stay. Either way, though, if he leaves, I think the absolute wildest rumor I've seen all week long has to be Matthew Berry mentioning the Eagles as a team interested in Mike Evans if Brown were somehow moved. And yeah, I say that towards the end of the show because it's nuts. It's not going to happen, but Matthew Berry sounded pretty confident. And I mean, at least I get it. Like, regardless how you feel about Devontae Smith, and trust me, I 100% agree with the brand reports out of Philadelphia this week that they see him as the next JSN, that they think he can reach another level. Philadelphia is going to love Devontae Smith with Sean Mannion's offense. But at the same time, they still need a solid number 2 if Brown were to leave. Evans is aging, yes, often injured, sure, but he certainly would fill that role. But so would a bunch of other more realistic options. Like, how about just re-sign Jahan Dotson for pennies on the dollar, make him a number 2, and pair him with a young rookie receiver on day 2 of the draft? Or to get even wilder, how about this rumor floating around? The Philadelphia could call the Jaguars and try and snag Brian Thomas Jr. away from Jacksonville to fill that void. Honestly, unlikely, but again, it makes sense. But then, not to be outdone, this one's crazy. Zach Berman's idea in his most recent Athletic article this morning of trading Jahad Campbell to the Cardinals for Marvin Harrison Jr. and then re-signing Nakobe Dean. Which, okay, that one's a little bit nuts. I don't see that one happening at all. But again, when I said at the beginning of the show, a lot of names are just being thrown out there because it's free agency. Marvin Harrison Jr. for Jahad Campbell is certainly one of them. In the end, though, all of this is what makes NFL free agency so fun, but also so annoying. because there's a monsoon of information being thrown at all of us right now, and only a tiny little fraction is actually accurate. I personally love it because I talk about the news and the rumors here on my channel. It's always fun to kind of envision, what would Mike Evans look like? What would they do if they traded Jahan Campbell for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Will A.J. Brown stay? But I totally get you guys are exhausted. I am too. I don't know. We'll see. Here is, though, for those wondering, my best guess is what happens in the coming days if I had to, again, bet the house on what I think will go down. Phillips resigns. Carter or Davis, maybe the two of them, are both extended. Goedert resigns mainly due to that dead cap hit, although if he's gone, I like the Njoku move. A.J. Brown, obviously not traded. And then I think Reed Blankenship and Nakobe Dean both leave. As far as external names, Crosby, maybe, maybe not. I'm leaning towards not. But I do think Howie Roseman will make somewhat of a big-ish splash. Last offseason, it was a bunch of one-year cheap moves. They're going to do plenty of those. But I do predict some sort of name surprising us in the coming days and us sitting back and going, oh, wow, that was kind of a big move. Not a massive move, but a big move for Howie Roseman. Now, of course, we'll cover it all here on the channel. Turn on your notification bell because the second something happens, we'll go live, we'll break it down, we'll have shows recapping it, breaking it down. Plenty of stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. I am busy here on the channel to keep you guys up to date, my promise to you. Drop a like, leave your comment down below. You're guaranteed that way you can enter the DeJean Giveaway happening probably on my next show. So get your comments in right now. I'm Thomas Mott. Having fun, staying busy. It's going to be nuts. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.